At least 316 people are dead and 195 injured in the devastating landslides in Wayanad district, with more than 225 people still missing. But then, ladies and gents, hope springs eternal. And this was proved when the Indian Army found 2 men and 2 women alive at Padaveti Kunnu in Wayanad. The Army and every other body or organization involved in rescue and rehabilitation did what seemed beyond humanly impossible. The construction of the 190 feet long Bailey Bridge in a record 16 hours, a drone based radar which was used to find survivors which were trapped under the rubble and in collapsed buildings, 40 teams of rescue personnel in zone after zone carrying out rescue operation, Atamala and Aranmala, then Mundukai, then Punjari Mattam, Velarmala and River Chaliyar, etc., etc. That's the wonderful point of how a disaster happens due to several reasons. I'll come to the main reason, of course, but then how all of us gear up, stand up. And remember, we found 4 survivors. My colleague Mohammad Wajullah brings you this ground report from Wayanad.
This is the Bailey Bridge that has been made by the army right now for all the operations that are going on in this particular place. Where I am is Churumala. Before I start telling you about this place, let me show you this particular bridge that you can see on my right hand side, which my camera person is showing you. This was the first bridge that was used to do all the operations that were going on here, rescue operation. And this is the second worst hit site in this entire incident, which is Churumala. You can see the devastation in this place. Just my camera person, if he just pans around, all you can see is an empty barren land filled with boulders and a lot of mud all across this place, you can see. Now this is how the devastation has happened in this particular place. Now that is the route of the river or the tributary of the river that is flowing from there. And from what I've learned from local is that this was not supposed to be like this. This was a township over here, and there used to be houses, and there used to be schools, and there used to be a lot of people over here, and there was no scope for a river to come here. But because of the landslide and because of the cloudburst that happened, it burst open there and the water flew here. Now this is on my right hand side, on left hand side, where you can see a JCB working around, is a school where they had put a lot of children over there thinking that this would be very safe for them.
Now what basically my colleague Mohammad Wajullah was trying to show you is how the land is now flattened out and how the bridge, the Bailey Bridge, has come up for rescue operations. Former MP from Wayanad, Rahul Gandhi, is also at present in the affected region where he is meeting with those who suffered from the massive tragedy. He and his sister, General Secretary of the Congress Party, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, visited several relief camps and also hospitals to listen in to how much was the suffering of those who faced the devastation of the landslides. Listen in to what Rahul had to say.
I have been here since yesterday. As I said yesterday, this is a terrible tragedy. We yesterday went to the site. We went to the camps. We assessed the situation there. And today we had a meeting with the administration and the panchayat. They briefed us on exactly the number of casualties they expect, the number of houses that have been damaged, and their strategy. We have said that we are here to help in any way possible. Congress family would like to commit to build 100+ houses here. Of course, it is a terrible tragedy. I think Kerala has not seen this type of a tragedy in one area. And I think I'm going to raise it in Delhi and also with the Chief Minister here, that this should be treated differently. This is a different level of tragedy and it should be treated differently.
But in the midst of this great tragedy, let's not for a moment either forget or forgive those who are responsible for the terrible tragedy. I think day after day, how much ever we try to understand, everything points to just one thing, and that being neglect. Let's now speak about it. Meera Rajesh, environmental activist, has now joined us to speak more on the issue. Thank you so much, Meera, for accepting to join us on this broadcast. You know, a lot of questions have come up. I mean, even Professor Gadgil has written about it. We all know about the Gadgil committee report. We know about the Kasturi Rangan report. But Meera, you know, for the ordinary person sitting in Kerala, in other parts of Kerala, and also across India, and also in the vulnerable parts on the Western Ghats, there seems to be many questions. The simplest question is, landslides were never considered so devastating, no, Meera Rajesh? What is the reason? Sorry?
It has always been devastating.
Yeah.
You know, the scale at which it comes, and it, you know, the speed at which it comes, it has always been devastating.
No, but what I've learnt also is that, you know, it's not as devastating, maybe, you know, some experts feel not as devastating as droughts, storms or floods. But it's because of the climate change and also all the injustices that human beings have perpetrated on that vulnerable piece of land that this happened. Meera Rajesh, who do you blame, or what do you blame for the terrible tragedy in Wayanad?
So I think you know, we have to start with a little bit of history of this place. Like, you know, if you just look at Churalmala, Churalmala in 1984 has had a landslide, right? And there were only 11 casualties in 1984. That was probably because of the population in that time, during that time, that, you know, the devastation, or rather the people loss of life was, you know, lesser when you compare it with what we see today. And, you know, even then, you know, there are multiple, if you just go to any report, take DDMA report, or you take the landslide zonation maps of Kerala, pre-landslides and floods of 2018, you know, you will see that, you know, everywhere this particular region has been declared as a landslide prone region. So that is point number one. So the question is, with all this information, all this technology, we are actually, you know, leaping very fast with respect to our technological advance, right? With all this, did we have the information that it was a landslide prone area? Yes, we had. You know, the district administration knew, the state knew, everybody knew. And there has been different forums where several of these areas that were declared as landslide prone has been published. You know, you take any report. I mean, we are only talking about the Madhav Gadgil committee report. I'm talking about several other reports that has actually been published by geologists,
no,
by
but
local...
I'm stopping you there, Meera Rajesh. Sorry for interjecting. So far as this tragedy is concerned, there has been a lot of kind of questions and counter questions. Did we alert on time? Yes, no. You didn't understand. I didn't. I've been reading the papers. My point is this, Meera Rajesh. If you alert me and I'm sitting in, let us say, you know, in Wayanad, I'm not as educated as Sudha is. I'm just sitting there. I don't have a smartphone. The thing is, maybe you alerted me that there is going to be a landslide, but then what about evacuation? Did you evacuate me? You left me there to die, no?
So, you know, what I understand is a part of that area was evacuated, but it was not like, you know, the whole Mundakai and Churalmala was asked to evacuate. In fact, there are videos, media reports that shows how water level is increasing the previous day itself, right? So fundamentally, like, you know, whether what happened and, you know, the scale of devastation is so high, primarily because of the population, you know, the people who have moved into that region, right? So if you look at certain satellite imageries, you know, 2012, 2011,
yes,
the population was not so high in that area. Now, in spite of a 2019 landslide, in the same region, right? There has been landslips, mudslips and all that. And Puthumala was not too far away from that region. How did we allow more people to come and colonize in that region in the name of resorts, in the name of tourism? And what were the kind of road building that has happened in that prone zone. Like, if you just look at beyond, I would like to take this conversation beyond Churumala and Mundakai or the Camelham Mountain as a fragile region. If you look at the whole of the Western Ghats as especially the western scarps of the Western Ghats, there are several locations of Western Ghats that are extremely fragile, both from a biodiversity standpoint and also from a geological standpoint.
Right.
Like if you just look at this particular segment, right, and it's actually the catchment of River Chaliar, and Chaliar, if you take Wayanad as a district, right? I mean, if you see the water map of Wayanad, the drainage maps of Wayanad, it has got multiple streams, and it looks like veins, right? I mean, all these small drainages and rivulets forming into rivers, larger rivers, and then first order streams becoming second order and second order rivers. Right? And Kabini, if you just look at, it's an east sloping landscape, and three primary rivers, the Manantavadi River, Panamaram River, and the Tirunelli River, it joins together to form the river Kabini, which eventually flows in as River Kaveri. And that's on the eastern side, or rather the eastern side of the slope. But this particular stretch is on the western side of the slope. And what is so particular about the western slide of the western scarps of the Western Ghats, all along, like I'm talking about 1,600 kilometers of Western Ghats, starting from the Gujarat to Kerala.
Right.
What is so particular is that it is steep, it is short, so the rivers are very...
Okay, yeah, right. So I just want to ask you, Meera, that, I'm coming to the end of the Wayanad segment. I'll be going to Nilgiris after this. Western Ghats is vulnerable. Western Ghats is something which is landslide prone. There have been reports, there have been people like you who've studied it. You say, who allowed people to build resorts there? Professor Gadgil, I was speaking to him yesterday, he also said there, he said there is quarrying there. He says the Chief Minister was present allegedly at one of the meetings where a big resort is coming up, a hotel is, apparently a tunnel is coming up there.
Yes.
What is the way out? What is the way out, Meera Rajesh, so that we don't have this in a, because I'll tell you, tomorrow we'll be back to doing the same thing. There has to be,
So if we take some of the central regulations, even after the Gadgil committee report, there is eco-sensitive zone, there is eco-sensitive area. Time and again, these regulations have mentioned that, no quarrying, no mining and all that stuff. So unless it is actually prescribed under law, it is very difficult, to see certain kind of implementations happening on the ground. So,
because yesterday I was talking to experts and I said it has to be implemented in law, it has to be punishable. I'm so sorry, I may be sounding like very harsh, but that is the only way out, because will some politician or some resort manager or real estate shark stand up and take responsibility for these 300 and odd people who are dead there? Little children who have post-traumatic stress today are hugging their relatives, whoever is left, and saying if there is little rain, they are shivering and crying. But that's the time I have, Meera, because I have to now move on to Nilgiris. Thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, I started this with Wayanad. Next coming up after the break, will Nilgiris be the next Wayanad? Experts warn of the ecological vulnerabilities in Nilgiris.
Fast.
My God, isn't she your daughter?
Yes.
She's playing football. This is boys' game. Make her study. If she doesn't get a good job, she will get a good match. Will you win the world by playing football?
Yes, auntie. My daughter will win the world by playing football.
Let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt. News 9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
Over 20 healthcare trailblazers and leaders. 6 engaging sessions. 6 hours of engrossing conversations. Top trending healthcare issues. The Healthcare Summit 2024. An initiative by the TV9 Network and South First. Streaming on 3rd of August, only on News 9.
20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this.
So I'm Payal Nath, the CEO and director of Kadam Heart. We're working with people, we're working with emotions, we're working with hands, we're working with nature.
We are very clear, we want to commit to livelihoods. We want to commit to the planet. We want to impact 1 million artisans, which is 1 million families minimum.
Be the change that you want to see.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
It's been our attempt to kind of highlight the other Wayanads in the country. After all, the Western Ghats, there are many vulnerable spots. Part 2 of Story 1, after Wayanad disaster, will Nilgiris be the next Wayanad? We are asking that very, very vital questions. Like I said, there are many Wayanads which are waiting to happen, and one of them is just at a kissing distance. Nilgiris in Tamil Nadu, which is to the north of Kerala, to the north of Wayanad. If the government does not take immediate measures, the Nilgiris could be staring at a disaster sooner rather than later. The most obvious reason being the topography of the hill station, which is very similar to Wayanad. And also, much like Wayanad, Nilgiris has thick layers of soil going down up to 100 feet to 200 feet. It's not as if it hasn't happened before, ladies and gents. Valparai in neighboring Coimbatore has faced landslides. The story is just the same. You can actually hide the name of the place. The story remains the same. Vulnerable topography, unregulated buildings, and a numb government. Let me talk to an expert as to what can be done. Dr. Shekhar Kumar Neeraj, ex-Chief Wildlife Warden, Tamil Nadu, is joining us. Dr. Neeraj, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. So, like I said, you can just keep changing the name. The story remains the same. Wayanad, I mean, after all, there is a Gadgil committee report. Professor Gadgil said this Western Ghats is very vulnerable. Let's be extremely careful about what we are doing. No one paid heed. We are paying a price. 316 lives are lost in Wayanad. In the Nilgiris, it's the same story, sir. I've been reading about it. Development in the name of resorts, roads, buildings, deforestation. There is absolutely killing of whatever local practices are. What do you think, Dr. Neeraj? I mean, don't you think that Nilgiris is sitting on the edge, on the precipice, as it were?
Yeah, first, I'm very sad about this incident, as the whole nation and the world is, because, this is something which is not even natural. It's, as you said, it's very, at least it's more of the man-made kind of manifestation. So I'm very saddened that we can do ourselves such tragedies. That is something which is unacceptable, and which gives us lots of opportunity to think about that, how to correct the way we perceive the development. And you rightly, as you rightly said, you took the name Dr. Madhav Gadgil's report, and the ecological, the whole concept behind the ecological sensitive areas, balancing the development. So all those three reports, if you look at them, they talk voluminously about how these areas are sensitive in the Western Ghats, and so as the areas in the Eastern Ghats, in the Himalayas, not to forget about them as well. So how to balance them? Also, they have suggested ways that the area which are, and they have
Nilgiris, because Nilgiris has a lot of, natural flora and fauna which has been destroyed. Did you see that it is also going to destruction, Dr. Saab?
I won't say that the flora and fauna have been intentionally destroyed, but what I'm trying to say is that the process of development has gone so uncontrolled and without any sense of really good planning, that whatever we do, there are always a side effect, there are feeder effects, and sometimes we are knowing about it, sometimes we are not able to gauze up.
Sir, there is a hydro-tidal project
also
in Nilgiris. You must be aware of
Yes,
it.
I'm aware of it.
What is this, sir? That is the first black spot.
The water, correct amount of flow is there, but the issue is different, because hydropower stations everywhere is the same, where the water comes out of a gradient from a top altitude toward the down, and then you trap the water velocity and then convert into mechanical energy. That's there. But then you have to be very discreet that which area should it be permitted, which area it shouldn't be permitted, and so that only comes out of if you are doing a plan very judiciously, scientifically. Everybody knows about the whole gamut of problems which was triggered off because of Tehi Dam, big size dams, and also the land sinking incidents of the Uttarakhand. So it's all manifestation of the same problem. It's not that Nilgiris is all happening typically. It's all happening in everywhere else also. If you go to Himalayas, you go to Arunachal Pradesh, this is very, very unscientific approach to such planning.
So I want to, let's speak specifically, sir, about the Nilgiris, Dr. Shekhar Kumar Neeraj. Now, the Shola forest. The Shola, is very, very unique to the Nilgiris, the grasslands, as it were. The Shola forests are unique to it, unique to the topography, to the region, as it were. That's been completely destroyed. Apparently, it's been cut off.
I would again go for this statement that has been completely destroyed. I'm not defending it, but I say that let's also be very correct on data. It's not completely destroyed, but some parts of Sholas have been actually badly invested by the weeds, and there has been no clear and serious planning of removing those weeds and let the Shola grow, naturally as they were doing it. So, this is again, I'll say that it's because of unscientific approach to the planning, that whenever the weeds were coming, or weeds were actually brought in, because of water lassiter in Kodaikanal hills, in again southern part of the Western Ghats, those came not suddenly, they came over a very long span of time. So the planning always failed, that they should have been systematically removed and should have been actually replaced by the natural vegetation. So Shola suffered a lot because same area, it was overlapping area where the Sholas were there, and same the places the wattle came, the eucalyptus came, and because of lack of planning, they never seriously looked at this problem and could predict for future effects such as this.
Yes, sir.
And they couldn't correct the waste. So I'll say that it's a planning of it's a failure of the plan and subsequent plans, and no serious and balanced attention to make the corrective steps.
Sir, Dr. Saab, I also want to ask you that, when the experts are saying that Nilgiris is at a kissing distance of Wayanad and is waiting to happen, they do not want to create panic, but they do want to kind of, forewarn policy makers and the government particularly. For instance, they say the soil should not become more loose in the Nilgiris, because if that happens, then it's actually sounding a major alarm bell. The soil is tight and it should not go loose at any cost. But with so many luxurious resorts coming up, hotels coming up, there is luxury bungalows, people have built a lot of holiday homes which are coming up. And also, most importantly, climatic changes. I mean, the climate change which has happened, you saw the temperature in Ooty, I was shocked. It's unheard of. But the point is that if these things happen, then climatic change is also because of what human beings have done. But if the soil becomes loose, then it, spells disaster. So what should be done, Dr. Neeraj? I mean, we know the problems, but how come we cannot look for solutions ever?
Of course, no. Your statement itself has the answer in it. As you say, the soil becomes loose. The soil becomes loose due to what? I mean, with this direct relationship with the number of trees per unit area, which it bore once upon a time, and then when you remove the trees, obviously you expose the soil. And the best, always the tree would be the most native vegetation of the area, which has, which stands for long time, tests the time, tests all kinds of different ecological effects, and then they stand there. So the first priority should be understand. I mean, I'll always say the first priority would be to look at every unit of the whole region and look at that, and then try to map it at which is the most sensitive areas, less sensitive, and then get them. I think the best approach again would be what is already contained in the concepts of the ecological sensitive areas, and there you have no role, scope to play at all. And I'm surprised that even years after years, decades after decades, those are not being finalized. And the report already has done ample amount of study about.
Why are you surprised, Dr. Neeraj? You are surprised. I'm not surprised as a journalist. It's because there are reports and reports, and the politicians and the bureaucrats, they collude and they throw all the rules out of the window. That's why these things happen. Sab kuch ho chuka hai. Sensitive, hypersensitive, less sensitive, dangerous, everything has been done. But as long as politicians, builders and bureaucrats, this nexus is not broken, and I think unless it is a mandated law by which there is not a sentence which is given to people, these things will carry on, sir. Whether it is the Kedarnath, whether it is Wayanad, whether it is the Nilgiris. Dheere dheere this parasite or this poison is now floating across. There are many reports, Professor Gadgil, there are also reports by other ecologists, there is a report by Kasturi Rangan, but what has happened? In Kerala, what we see is sheer cruelty, and it is because of the nexus of, like I'll again say, politicians, yes men, bureaucrats, and very, very corrupt real estate, sharks. On that note, thank you very much, Dr. Shekhar Kumar Neeraj, for joining us on this broadcast. It's time now for a break, but after the break, a very, very important issue that we at News 9 Live have been focusing, the mess in the NEET-PG issue. Students complain of being allotted exam centers which are so far that it's almost out of your domicile city.
Over 20 healthcare trailblazers and leaders, 6 engaging sessions, 6 hours of engrossing conversations, top trending healthcare issues. The Healthcare Summit 2024, an initiative by the TV9 Network and South First. Streaming on 3rd of August, only on News 9.
इस खेल में अब खेला होगा, हर नहले पे दहला होगा। ये बड़ा है, स्टेज बड़ा है, पूरा भारत साथ खड़ा है। साथ खड़ा है। गेम बड़ा है। Dribble like a rap, pass, 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 setting up the trap. Kick it hard in the booth. Chuck, there for the ball. Chuck there for the ball. Chuck there for the ball. Chuck there for the ball.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
From July 26 to August 11, the world's eyes will be on Paris.
the City of Lights is hosting the biggest stars of the global sporting firmament at the Olympics.
I do expect us to do better than 7 medals.
I'm very excited because this would be my first Olympics, and let's see how it goes.
Ever since Rio 2016, it's been India's endeavor to cross double digits.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Give it to me, pass. We'll put new glasses in the windows and they keep breaking it. This is the fourth time you are playing football throughout the day. Will you win the world by playing football?
Yes, uncle. I will now conquer the world by playing football. Let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt, News 9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
That's our next big story in the South Indian, the messy NEET-PG issue. We have been focusing on NEET on this broadcast platform for months and months. And ladies and gents, if NEET-UG is a right royal mess, cocking a snook at how a national exam of this proportion was compromised with leaks and every unfair practice in the book, it's the turn of NEET-PG candidates who are facing the wrath of the National Board of Examinations in Medical Sciences, that is NBEMS. Not only were these exams postponed multiple times, the NBEMS has allotted candidates exam centers which are not only far away from their own homes, but also outside their state of domicile. So imagine that if you live in, let us say, Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, and you give options, there are maybe 2 or 3 options of places within Tamil Nadu. The 4th option could be Nagpur. You may get Nagpur. If that is not enough, the agency hasn't even had the courtesy to inform candidates of the exact locations of exam centers except the city, and this is scheduled for 11th August in 2 shifts. Are the authorities totally blasé about the fact that they are dealing with doctors? A workforce which was hailed for its contribution during COVID. We all, showered them with rose petals and everything, but look at the way they are treated. Let's discuss this. I have Anubha Srivastava Sahai, who is an educationist and president of India-wide Parent Association, and also Amar Saini, who is a petitioner of Aryan Tyagi, who is a NEET aspirant, and we shall also be joined by Dr. Ashik Bashir, who is the state president of General Practitioners Association in Kerala. He shall be joining us on the phone line. Anubha, once again, this only shows how they do not really care, because first of all, you postpone these exams many times, Anubha, and then after that, I may have booked my tickets, also booked my hotel stay, but then I have to cancel it because it's been postponed. Unki marzi hai. Again, they do the same thing. Now they are giving me dates like this. Apparently, a lot of doctors are busy with something else. Some of them are pregnant.
Yes.
What is going on, Anubha Srivastava Sahai?
Yes. Sudhaji, actually, I am really shocked the way the examination are being conducted in our country. Be it NEET exam or JEE exam or any other exam, the government and the agencies are not able to conduct the exam properly. Total mismanagement. We can see right from COVID started, and it's almost now 4 years, and the same thing is happening. In COVID, we could understand that, yes, there was some problem. So they could not hold exam. They could not get more examination centers. But now there is no problem. I don't know what is the problem the government is facing. They're giving some justification and useless and baseless justification as always that due to some security concern. I don't know what security concern they're talking about. Due to some, I don't know what security they're talking about. Due to some security reasons now, they have to allocate the centers in some other states. So inconvenience is highly regretted. I don't know what has happened with the government.
Okay,
And
Anubha.
they are not listening.
Yeah,
They are not
Anubha.
listening on.
Yeah, they are
In
not
spite of
listening. They don't seem to be, unless, you know, the Supreme Court, we petition, we stand there, we do strikes. I mean, they just don't seem to be listening at all. They just don't seem to be caring at all for this. I mean,
Not
it's
at all.
ridiculous. Really.
It is.
Yeah.
How the students last moment they will make arrangements. So many trains are being cancelled. Now monsoon season has come.
Yeah.
We know how the situation is there in Kerala, in other states also, in Maharashtra, in Madhya Pradesh, in Uttarakhand, UP, everywhere flood-like situation is there. So how the students are going to commute from one state to other? Within state, in Kashmir also, students are tweeting. If you will read the tweet,
Yeah.
students are tweeting that even in Kashmir they are facing problem. They cannot run from pillar to post for all these issues which are not concerned about the students. They are really not concerned about the students. Why students will do all these management as far as the traveling is concerned? It is the responsibility of the authority, examination conducting body, that they should make proper arrangement, convenient arrangement for all these aspirants who are
Exactly.
our future doctors, who are already doctors and they are going to
They
be
are
professionals.
doctors, yeah, yeah. Amar Saini, who is the petitioner of Aryan Tyagi, is also with us. I mean, what is going on with the NBEMS? You know, the thing is that apart, like I was talking to Anubha, postponement happened. Then they give me a city which is outside my domicile thing. Theek hai, it's not a big deal. I can go to Nagpur. The third worst thing is that they've told me the city, but they've not told me the exam center, the venue. Where do I go? I mean, do I just kind of, you know, throw one coin up and will it? I mean, they're treating me, I'm already a doctor, this is PG, you know, NEET-PG, and they're treating us like this. What can be the security reason, like Anubha says? Are they scared about cheating? Are doctors doing cheating? It is the gang which is doing cheating. So what do you think of this, Aryan Tyagi? Sorry, Amar Saini.
So basically, this was the systematic failure, and so many evidences that we produced before the court was in the form of systematic breach, and the gang which was involved in paper leakages, which was not prevalent not only in this examination which was held NEET-UG, but past experiences have also shown that these kind of leakages have happened. And this time, the evidences that we had in the court while arguing this case was in the form of telegram channels, was having the paper in the morning of 5th of May 2024 when the exam was supposed to be conducted. And before the examination, the students, some of the candidates who were the part and acting in connivance with these gangsters were having the paper. So if though in one of the precedent that was laid down in 2015 in the case of Tanvi Sarbal, which was the precedent which was cited in the during the course of the argument and in the judgment, so there was the mentioning of the leakages and the sanctity of the examination being violated. But this time in the judgment that has come today, and the ratio of the judgment is on the another separate anvil which we have come across, and that is the localized breach.
Right, we're not talking about, but you know what, we right now concentrating, I know you're talking about the NEET-UG and what the Honorable Court has said, but right now our problem is even going beyond that and creating a new problem. Yes. Dr. Ashik Bashir, let me come back to you, sir. Dr. Ashik Bashir is also with us, State President, General Practitioners Association in Kerala. He is on the phone line. Dr. Bashir, very warm welcome to you. Dr. Bashir, how does one handle this? I mean, particularly in Kerala, which is now faced, the Wayanad landslides have happened. There is intense monsoon in Kerala, a state where you live and practice. How does one expect someone to go from Kerala to, let us say, Guntur, Tirupati, Pudukkottai, or let us say in Belagavi in Karnataka, sir? What kind of idiocy is this?
Yes, actually, this is a Herculean task for us to go from our hometown to 1,500 kilometers away for writing an exam. This is the fourth time they are postponing the exam date, and it was a huge mess. Actually, I have been receiving calls from doctors pan Kerala, and I have received calls from Tamil Nadu and Karnataka as well. Like many doctors who have applied in the right when the website opened also got sent us 1,500 kilometers away. It was supposed to be on a first come first serve basis, but they have I don't know what they have done. They have chosen randomly or something, and those who have applied for the center, right when the website opened, got centers 1,500 kilometers away from their home. This is pure injustice, and it's a Herculean task for the candidates to go there. Like it's a huge financial burden, and right now the situation in Kerala is also worse. Like landslides and there, we are voluntarily going for the rescue operations and all. And for staying away from our state for 4 or 5 days for writing an exam will affect our healthcare system also. In the
Yeah,
state.
absolutely.
And this is not just a Kerala issue, this is a pan-Indian issue. I don't know, we have a majority of our students, candidates from Kerala has been allotted. I mean, literally more than 50% of our candidates from Kerala has been allotted centers 1,500 kilometers away. And from there, we have to go there. Like financial burden is there. Flight tickets have gone high. Like it was 6,000 or something, and now it's 20,000. And hotel prices, everything has gone high. Like it's not just financial burden. It is a highly competitive exam, and at this time, this last crucial moment, very crucial moment, everyone is supposed to be preparing very hard for the. Actually, we were NEET-PG candidates were preparing for the past 1.5 years.
Okay.
And at this last moment, they have been torturing us. Like, how are we supposed to go there, 2 days back, prior to the exam, to a 1,500 kilometers away center? And
also, Dr. Bashir, what I'm hearing is that although they have told you the cities, but you do not know the venues, and it is on 11th August. Yeah.
Yes. They are telling they will disclose the exact location just 2 days prior. How do we book an accommodation there? Like, we don't know the exact location where it is. They just told the city name only. I got calls from pregnant doctors also. They are planning to drop the exam. They have been preparing very hard for the past 1.5 years, and they are shattered actually. They can't travel. They are 7 months pregnant. Doctors are also there. They are also writing the exam, and they have chosen the center right when the website opened. They were supposed to get their center on the hometown. It was like that only for the past years, and this time I don't know why they choose this new method, like 4 centers.
Yeah, let's find out. We are also, that's what Dr. Bashir, I am also, Anubha Srivastav Sahai is with us. Let me go to her. And, Anubha, you started this conversation by saying it's security reasons. Is it because, like I asked, our other panelist, Amar, that is it because of the cheating and everything? But in this case, bhaiya ye doctor ban chuke hain, they're already doctors. So what is the security scare?
I don't know. See, this is a baseless justification which the authorities are giving, that due to security concern now we are changing the centers and giving the centers far away. So we are not in a position to change it. That is what I have heard. But every time they come up with some baseless justification. Whenever there is any problem, they will try to cover it up by giving all these things. And now, because of all this total mismanagement, the students are struggling. They are preparing hard, and there is pressure on medical infrastructure also, no doubt. Because the student will have to travel all the way, 1,000 kilometers, 600 kilometers. It will take 2-3 days.
Absolutely, it's not easy, and you can't expect someone to, book a flight ticket, because flight tickets have also, skyrocketed. Yeah, San thodi hai. They are not paid in lakhs. They are not industrialists and other people who run away from this country after cheating people.
Why should they pay?
Why should they pay? Yeah, why should they pay? That's the question. Why should they?
Why should they pay for this public exam? Where is the taxpayers' money going? We are also paying. We are paying taxes. They have paid examination fees. So what kind of service the government is providing?
Amar, yeah. So Amar, what is the should they go to court? Should they petition? What is the way out? Quickly tell me. I'm completely.
Absolutely, they can absolutely go to the court, because I am told one of the petition is going to be filed in the Supreme Court tomorrow as well, stating all the irregularities and the difficulties being faced by the aspirants, and particularly while this case was argued with respect to NEET-UG, there were several pointers that were pointed out by both the sides, and it was taken into consideration that in next examinations that would be conducted, every kind of technology and the facilities that would be provided. But still, we are facing such, we are like getting such news of pregnant doctors are being given the centers far away 1,000 kilometers. It's very pathetic.
It is pathetic. Dr. Ashik Bashir, what kind of steps are you planning to take, sir, now going forward?
Yeah, actually, we have talked to our MPs. Actually, we got the centers after, like on July 31st, 10:30 p.m., I guess. We got the centers via SMS. And right after that, we have informed the national media and we have contacted all our MPs from our state. We have explained the condition of our, it's a pathetic condition right now. We have explained them and they have given their representation, all the MPs from our Kerala. They have supported us and met the Central Health Minister today and given the representation for reassigning the test centers. Actually, we are planning to go to court also. I think on 2022, we had filed a writ petition in High Court of Kerala also regarding the same issue. That time also, candidates from Kerala were assigned centers in Andhra Pradesh. That time it was like those who chose others option got centers in Andhra Pradesh. This time, those who have done the registration right when the website opened also got centers 1,500 kilometers away. This is pure injustice.
Absolutely, and I hope that you get a solution out of this sooner rather than later. Thank you so much. I've completely run out of time. Thank you, Anubha Srivastav Sahai. Thank you so much, Amar Saini, and thank you, Dr. Ashik Bashir, for joining us on this very important NEET-PG mess discussion. Coming up next, gender row erupts in Paris Olympics after Algerian boxer Iman Khelif, a biological male, is allowed to compete in female category boxing. That's the story. That's the story which is making waves internationally. Gender row at Olympics. A huge controversy erupted after Algerian boxer Iman Khelif, who previously had failed a gender test, was announced as the winner over Italy's Angela Carini at the Olympics. Carini withdrew just after 46 seconds into the bout as she suffered very strong punches and a suspected broken nose at the hands of her opponent. Even as results were declared in Khelif's favor and his hand went up, Carini collapsed on her knees, sobbing and yelled. Athletes who have male genetic characteristics should not be admitted to women's competitions, and not because you want to discriminate against someone, but to protect the right of female athletes to be able to compete on equal terms. Iman Khelif's gender has long been a matter of contention. In 2023, Khelif was barred from competing in the women's category after failing an unspecified gender test conducted by the International Boxing Association. Statement read, "Every person has a right to practice sport without discrimination. All athletes participating in the boxing tournament of the Olympic Games Paris 2024 comply with the competition's eligibility and entry regulations as well as all applicable medical regulations set by Paris 2024 Boxing Unit PBU. As with previous Olympic boxing competitions, the gender and age of athletes are based on their passport. So, in your passport, if you have, we all have gender. I mean, I don't know if we have he, she, them, but if it's she, that's how they take it. But it's rather strange. I know the gender fluid, and how can a man be boxing against me because he is supposed to be stronger than me, at least physically, if not mentally. As promised, I leave you with some of the other top headlines from the south of India. Thanks for watching.
Over 20 healthcare trailblazers and leaders. 6 engaging sessions. 6 hours of engrossing conversations. Top trending healthcare issues. The Healthcare Summit 2024. An initiative by the TV9 Network and South First. Streaming on 3rd of August, only on News 9.
Have not quite lived up to their pre-tournament billing, delivering a series of less than convincing performances. For 2 draws and a solitary win.
Your son will be Messi. No studies, just football all day. Go, my son, go. Make my face shine through playing football.
Not only your face, but also the country's. I will conquer the world by playing football. Come, let's go to Germany!
World's largest football talent hunt, News 9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BBB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
Why is the state not looking at putting an embargo on that?
As a Telangana person, I will not accept.
How do ordinary folks deal with this?
Will India's shooters hit the bullseye in Paris? Manu Bhaker has become India's sweetheart by becoming the first woman shooter to win a medal twice over. After the debacle in Tokyo, she has risen like a phoenix from the ashes. India sent a contingent of 22 shooters this year, and India's medal tally has increased. Chef de mission Gagan Narang and Abhinav Bindra, the golden boy of Indian shooting, will be proud. So is Manu Bhaker India's biggest shooting star? News 9 Plus decodes. Let us begin with the teen prodigy turned Olympic star Manu Bhaker. After a gun malfunction in the Tokyo Olympics, she has bounced back, and how? What makes Manu Bhaker the toast of Paris Olympics? Manu Bhaker is a 22-year-old from Jhajjar, Haryana, who has now got the bang for the buck for India in the 10-meter air pistol. Not just once, but twice. Adept at a martial art called Thang Ta, she tried her hand at shooting at 14, and the rest is history. At the age of 19, when many teens her age are not sure about their target careers, she shot her way to the Olympics final, the first woman shooter to reach an individual shooting final. How did Sarabjot Singh overcome his setback? Her teammate Sarabjot Singh comes from Ambala, Haryana. At the young age of 22, he is already a central figure in Team India's shooting team. He has won both individual and team honours in the 10-meter air pistol. After crashing out from the individual men's event, within days, he recomposed himself and emerged triumphant to achieve a podium finish at Paris. Teaming up with Manu to defeat Korea, Singh helped India get its second bronze. Who are the other shooting stars India is banking on? The Indian contingent is a motley mix of experienced and promising world beaters. Among these, Anjum Mudgil is playing in her second Olympics, while teen prodigy Siftkar Samra is excited about making her Olympic debut in the women's 50-meter rifle category. Another exciting young talent is Vijayveer Sidhu. The 22-year-old won a bronze medal at the 19th Asian Games held in Hangzhou, China in 2023. And a bronze medal in the men's 25-meter rapid-fire pistol team event, along with teammates Anish Bhanwala and Adarsh Singh. So will our shooting stars help India reach double figures in the medals tally at Paris? Watch this space.
This was the kind of terrain that mountaineers basically climb on. You're talking of peaks of 15,000 and 16,000 feet. You have trouble breathing, the cold, the high altitude, the dizziness, the enemy staring at your face. And in some of those cases, the Pakistanis were not even expending ammunition. They were throwing rocks at the Indian soldiers. That's how close it was.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Over 20 healthcare trailblazers and leaders. 6 engaging sessions. 6 hours of engrossing conversations. Top trending healthcare issues. The Healthcare Summit 2024. An initiative by the TV9 Network and South First. Streaming on 3rd of August, only on News 9.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface, but not the living people?
Joe Biden is not going to be the Democratic presidential nominee.
I made my choice. Kamala Harris. She's experienced. She's tough. She's capable.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
I am the one saving democracy.
He has tapped into the fear and anxiety about demographic change in the US.
This polarization in the United States. Some people are even suggesting that there could be a civil war.
You are this unable to solve your own domestic problems. You have no right to claim to be anybody else in the world, and we're moving into a multipolar world where the United States will not lead.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Fast, 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 fast. My God, isn't she your daughter?
Yes.
She's playing football. This is boys' game. Make her study. If she doesn't get a good job, she will get a good match. Will you win the world by playing football?
Yes, auntie. My daughter will win the world by playing football.
Let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt, News 9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
The Supreme Court has said that it did not cancel the NEET-UG 2024 exam because there was no systemic breach of the sanctity of the exam. While explaining its order of 23rd of July, a bench by Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud and Justice J.B. Pardiwal and Manoj Misra, however, said the National Testing Agency must stop its flip-flop on exams as this does not serve the interest of students. The Apex Court said that the paper leaks were only limited to Patna and Hazaribagh. The court also said that there is a need to consider framing SOP or standard operating procedure for using technology advancements to identify potential weaknesses in the cybersecurity of the examination system and improve processes for enhanced identity checks. Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has cited the Supreme Court verdict as vindication of the government's stand on paper leaks. Taking to his social media platform, Pradhan wrote that the Honorable Supreme Court's decision has vindicated our government's stand. The government of India is fully committed to a tamper-free, transparent and zero-error examination system. The just decision of the Supreme Court on the NEET-UG exam also completely rejects the propaganda being spread on the subject.
आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने नीट मामले में कुछ गाइडलाइंस ले डाउन की हैं। आज जजमेंट प्रोनाउंस किया गया है जिसमें काफी चीज इरेगुलरिटीज जो हमने पॉइंट आउट की थी उसका सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसका नोटिस लिया है और जो कमेटी फॉर्म की है गवर्नमेंट ने उनको काफी डायरेक्शंस दिए हैं कि जैसे पेपर लीक मामले में आपको क्या क्या करना है, कैसे आप इस चीज की रोकथाम कर सकते हैं। उन्होंने काफी डायरेक्शंस जैसे पेपर आपका ट्रेवलिंग हुआ, पेपर का कैसे ट्रेवल कर रहा है, आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ द स्टूडेंट, जहां इंपर्सोनेशन वगैरह होता है, ये सारी चीजें नोट इनका एक अच्छे से विस्तार में इनका एनालिसिस करने के लिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने गाइडलाइंस आज ले डाउन की है। और कमेटी जो फॉर्म हुई है उनको थोड़ा सा वक्त और दिया गया है ताकि वो जो भी पॉइंट्स है जजमेंट में उसको इनकॉर्पोरेट करके एक रिपोर्ट गवर्नमेंट को पेश करेंगे और साथ ही साथ एक रिपोर्ट हमारे कोर्ट के पास भी आएगी।
All right, we are trying to decode, of course, the Supreme Court order. Joining us on the show is Keshav Karunkar. He is the petitioner and parent of a NEET aspirant. Also with us is Dr. Ritwik Bhardwaj. He is a coordinator of UDFA North Zone. With me in the studio is Ashok Bagaria, my colleague. Ashok, I want to come to you first. If one were to really understand what the Supreme Court has said, it would be right to say that NTA, or the National Testing Agency, has been very strongly told off and told to get its house in order.
Well, two words would describe the Supreme Court judgment. First, the Supreme Court says complete overhaul of the NEET-UG exam process. Secondly, no flip-flops by the NTA, which it had done before the Supreme Court in this particular case. So, Supreme Court is saying that the Government of India might have set up a committee under the chairmanship of the former ISRO chairman K. Radhakrishnan, but the court is saying that we want to expand the ambit of the committee. That high-powered committee will now suggest ways and manner and procedure as to how the NEET-UG examination in future can be held in a manner that is foolproof and which inspires confidence in the students, number one. Number two, the court says no more flip-flops. We have had enough of flip-flops from you. No more flip-flops. And in fact, Justice Chandrachud, while he was reading out the order, cited instances when the NTA did flip-flops in the Supreme Court. The first instance was on giving compensatory marks to students who had faced a loss of time. So first the court says, NTA says that they decide to give compensatory marks, then they hold a retest for 1563 students, and then they again do a U-turn. The second instance of flip-flop was when the NTA tells the Supreme Court that, look, the breach, first there is no breach, then the second instance is that investigation reveals that there was indeed breach, at least in two centers of Hazaribagh and Patna. The third instance what the Supreme Court pointed out was with respect to a question which was asked in the NEET-UG examination, for which the option 4 was considered to be a correct answer as it was decided by professors of IIT Delhi. But what NTA did was NTA also gave full marks to students who had marked option 2 correct. And now subsequently, when things were actually hammered out in the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court said that what we have witnessed is there have been a lot of flip-flops from the NTA, and the NTA must completely stop it. There has to be a complete overhaul of the NEET-UG examination. The Radhakrishnan committee will be looking into it. They are given time till September 30th to file a report to the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education will subsequently take a decision and also file a compliance report in the Supreme Court of India.
All right, that is of course what Supreme Court has said today. Let's quickly get in Keshav Karunkar on the show. Keshav, are you happy with the Supreme Court order? Supreme Court has justified why it upheld the NEET-UG exam while also asking for a rehaul of the entire process. Are you happy with that order?
I'm not able to hear Sweta.
All right, we'll try and get Keshav back, but let me quickly get in Dr. Ritwik Bhardwaj. Dr. Ritwik, you heard what my colleague described as a complete overhaul of the examination process, which is what the Supreme Court has asked today for NTA and the structures and the loopholes to be looked into, and for a course correction hearing for at least the next set of students as and when they appear. What are you making of that order? Your first reactions, please.
I'm coming from a medical background. What I want to say from UDFA also aligned with the same thought is that there is certainly some discrepancy in the examination, and we are thinking that this we are not at all welcoming this judgment by the Supreme Court, but overall whatever the Supreme Court says, we'll respect it, but we have our own concerns. As a doctors, we have our own concern regarding the NEET-UG, where in Patna and in Jahanabad and other places where the paper have been leaked, we have some queries for that, and we should ask some questions to the government. and we should ask question for the investigation. What kind of investigation have they done?
Okay, well, I think at this point, if I were to come back to you, Ashok, the investigation seemed to be over, at least for now. It's established fact that some centers were in fact involved where students must have had or may have had access to the question paper. It's also established fact that the question paper was leaked ahead of the examination, that there was flip-flop on NTA's part where NTA gave grace marks, then decided to revoke that and then reconducted examination for about 1,500 odd students. All said and done, this seemed to me, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong, the reading from Supreme Court today is that all that has happened. We're not going to relook at the examination. What we can do perhaps is course correct from here on.
Okay, so basically, there will be heartburn with the Supreme Court verdict and even the interim order arrangement that the Supreme Court made on 23rd July when it said that they will not be ordering a re-exam in this particular case. And primarily, the Supreme Court has based its judgment on three rationales. The first is that, number one, the tainted and the untainted students have been segregated. Number two, the extent of the leak has been very limited and the integrity of the exam as a whole has not been compromised so as to order for a retest. So these are the three grounds on which the Supreme Court in its wisdom has...
the test for re-exam has not been met on all these three grounds.
On these three grounds, the test, the judicial test which the Supreme Court has laid down in the past, the Supreme Court says that on these three parameters, these petitions have not been able to make out their case.
Right.
So we don't believe that this is a case for holding a re-NEET. Now, after that conclusion, I'm pretty sure, as one of our colleagues, panelists pointed out, that they're not happy with the Supreme Court verdict, and I said that there will be heartburn because there are students who strongly believe that this was an unfair examination. However, you have to keep one thing in mind. When you're dealing with a public examination which is held on such a wide scale where almost 24 lakh students participated, it cannot be cancelled on assumptions and beliefs of some petitioners who believe that there was something unfair about this examination. Now here what the Supreme Court is saying, yes, there was unfairness. We have been able to segregate the people who benefited from the exam leak and the students who did not benefit. So when you segregate the tainted from the untainted, the majority, or rather the big picture, is not tainted, or the integrity of the exam is not tainted. So hence, to push those 23 point some lakh students to take a retest will not be fair.
Absolutely. Keshav Karnakar is back with us. Keshav, are you happy with that order? Do you believe that at this point Supreme Court has done justice as far as ensuring that the integrity of NEET-UG exam is concerned? They are now clear that it wasn't compromised and hence there is no need for a retest. At the same time, some measures have been now put into place or suggested by Supreme Court. A direction has been laid on how to get the examination process better for incoming students next year onward.
Yeah, hi Sweta, good evening. And I am happy with the order. I have seen the live, when live CJI gave the justice also that time. So basically, it was not a big systematic failure as observed by CBI. And though the states understands that there are certain media news that keep coming that this has happened, that has happened, but judges cannot go and hear and say. And whatever they have suggested is good. I have read the full judgment that has to be done. One thing that CBI should investigate, which is not taken into notice so far, that one girl from Belgavi, a Gujarat girl in giving exam in Belgavi, scored 705 and failed in board. She has failed again in supplementary exam. These type of cases again gives doubt to the students.
Okay.
And this should be investigated as well. It is not only paper leak. This should be investigated. Looks like a case of impersonation, but should be investigated well. And in social media, what I see from students, that they are saying that either OMR filling has happened or impersonation has happened. and this is something that should be investigated. It has not come out in a CBI investigation. But from day one, I firmly believe that there was no systematic leak. And if you talk to the toppers who have scored well, they will tell you that question paper, with the syllabus being less, people have scored high. Though it is abnormal to have 4x, 5x ranking placement. But I must say that my daughter, whatever is scored, and then students nearby to her rank, I don't see anyone doubtful in Bangalore. I have attended award ceremony of three coaching institutes, and I know that I've seen people who are consistent performers qualified. But cases like Gujarat girl is scoring 705 and failing board must be investigated, because this is not usual.
All right, a fair ask, Ashok. Those individual cases, of course, where you can establish now that some of these students were in fact tainted, scored very high, have not been able to clear their class 12th examination, have not been able to pass supplementary exam, they should be investigated. But that would be a separate investigation.
Well, that can't be a part of the ongoing CBI investigation. The CBI is basically looking into the case which was transferred from Bihar police, the Gujarat police and Odisha police. Now, though all these three cases have been clubbed together and it has been registered as one FIR by the CBI, where they are looking into allegations of paper leak which have been made. Now, if there are going to be fresh allegations of one student who scored 705 marks in the NEET exam but failed to pass a class 12 examination and also the supplementary examination, what needs to be shown is there has to be some material evidence which has to be shown on record before the police or the courts take cognizance of it. Merely pointing fingers and saying that, there is a strong likelihood that this girl did not take the exam and somebody else in her place took the exam, and that explains the high score and low scores in the class 12th examination. That cannot be the case. I at least know personally many instances were not just in medical examination but even in engineering examination where students have passed the JEE but failed in the class 12th examination. However, if there is sufficient material on record, it can be a cause of fresh action.
All right, cause of fresh action there as far as some of those tainted students and the examination scores and scorecards are now coming out. But all in all, a detailed verdict as far as NEET-UG examination is concerned, putting to rest all the concerns and asking for a bottom-up overhaul of NTA. A fresh committee has now been formed under ISRO, a former Space Research Organization Chairman K. Radhakrishnan, who will be looking at the future of a similar examination. But time to move on now. The Supreme Court on Friday also dismissed a batch of pleas seeking court-monitored SIT probe into the instance of quid pro quo in electoral bonds. The PIL filed by NGO Common Cause and the Centre for Public Interest Litigation alleged an apparent quid pro quo between political parties, corporations and investigative agencies. Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud said, and I quote, "The petitions were founded on assumption that there is a prima facie element of quid pro quo by the date of EB purchase and contracts. There is an involvement of certain officials of the investigation agency, as consequence of which an investigation by normal process of law was not fair." He further said, and I quote, "For the above reason, we are of the considerate view that constitution of an SIT headed by former judge of this court should not be ordered in the face of remedies which are available under the law governing criminal procedures." Terming the electoral bond as a scam, the plea had sought a direction to the authorities, or of the authorities rather, to investigate the source of funding of all shell companies and loss-making companies which made donations to various political parties, has been disclosed, remember, by Election Commission earlier. The petition also sought a direction to the authorities to recover the money donated by companies as a part of quid pro quo arrangements where they found proceeds of crime. In February this year, Supreme Court had struck down electoral bond scheme which allowed for anonymous funding to political parties and ordered SIB to stop issuing electoral bonds immediately. There is a court order now which is not going to further look into electoral bonds, Ashok. So essentially, I think the matter of electoral bonds, which many thought would come to rest when SBI was told not to offer any more electoral bonds, to disclose the list of entities who've donated money to electoral bonds, has come to rest?
Not really. This is just the beginning of troubles that a lot of political parties and corporate houses are going to face in future.
Okay.
Now, today, what the court has said is that simply that on the basis of they are basically dealing with a clutch of petitions which are seeking an SIT probe into the relationship between the donor and the recipient. The donor is a corporate house and the recipient is a political party, because what is being established is that there was some kind of a quid pro quo relationship between the donor and the recipient. Now, there have been many instances which were pointed out to the court that where a big corporate company purchased electoral bonds and just a few months later a big contract was awarded to that company. Then there have been also instances where there have been individuals and companies against whom investigations were going on. They purchase electoral bonds and the investigation comes to a halt. And similar other substances, accusations were made in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says, look, we agree with the accusations that you are making. We are not going to say anything about it. But at the same time, we cannot order a roving inquiry on the basis of the assumptions that you are making before us. And secondly, that there is a process of law where you can file an FIR, seek an investigation by police. When you have not exhausted that option, you just cannot come straight away to the Supreme Court and demand a constitution of an SIT. So until and unless those avenues or those options are exhausted, do not come to the Supreme Court of India. So what I believe is from here on, what is going to happen is that there are many complaints which are going to be filed and FIRs which will also be filed with the CBI, ED and income tax authorities to probe these allegations of quid pro quo. And if those investigating agencies do not probe within a time period, within a stipulated time period, say 3 months, 6 months, these petitions will be revived again in the Supreme Court saying that, look, we tried to explore
legal avenues,
but these authorities are not acting. So as a last recourse, we want you now to constitute an SIT, and that's why I say it's just the beginning.
Just the start of the beginning, as far as the SIT probe into the matter of electoral bonds is concerned. For now, there will be no SIT, but we don't know for a fact in future whether there's going to be one or not. But moving ahead, Delhi High Court orders CBI probe into death of 3 civil service aspirants due to drowning in the IAS coaching center based in Rajendra Nagar. We now know the Delhi High Court has in fact ordered a CBI probe into the death of the 3 civil servant aspirants who drowned in Rao's IAS center while they were in the basement, an illegally constructed basement. CBI will now look into their death. Ashok Bagria continues to be with me. Ashok, it looks like Delhi High Court has taken so motu cognizance of the matter. Was there a petition in this matter, and those students may get some justice where one could finally understand what was going on as far as those coaching centers is concerned?
Well, as far as this incident is concerned, there were PILs which were filed in the Delhi High Court. Now there have been 2 previous 2 hearings in this matter, and today the MCD commissioner, the police officials were called in the court and they were asked to answer as to, firstly the Delhi police was asked that what is the status of the investigation. Are they investigating the role of MCD officials? Because these are the people who were directly responsible for keeping the storm water drainage clear of any blockages. To which the Delhi police had said that they had not examined any MCD officials, and they came in for a strong rap from the High Court. The High Court said that, look, we are not convinced that it's almost been 8 days since the incident took place and you have not made any progress in the investigation. So we believe that this investigation should be taken away from you and given to the Central Bureau of Investigation. The second very important thing that the Delhi High Court has spoken of and also said in its order is that it is high time that there is a restructuring of the administrative structure in the city of Delhi. Now this is because that during the course of the hearing, what the Delhi High Court discovered that there were authorities who were passing on the buck from one authority to another, saying that this authority was responsible, Delhi Jal Board says MCD was responsible, MCD is putting the blame on somebody else. So because of this multiplicity of authorities, there is very little accountability.
Okay.
And the Delhi High Court says that it is high time that some sort of an administrative restructuring in the city takes place, and for that purpose also they have passed some directions saying that a panel needs to be appointed by the Ministry of Home Affairs, because the Delhi government comes directly under the Ministry of Home Affairs, and the Home Affairs Ministry should suggest a way forward as to how this multiplicity of authorities that exist today can be cut down and accountability be fixed on the authorities.
All right, court there trying to set accountability as far as that unfortunate death of 3 students by drowning at Rao's ISA coaching centre is concerned. The court said and asked Commissioner MCD and directed him to ensure that the drains in the area are functional, and if the capacity needs to be increased, the same should be done in a systematic manner. At the earliest, all encroachments, illegal constructions must be removed forthwith. So that of course is the Delhi court order. It's currently pronouncing its order as far as suggesting a probe and ordering a probe into the death of those 3 civil servant aspirants is concerned. It's a developing story. We'll try and get you all those details after this very short break. Thank you very much for watching.
Over 20 healthcare trailblazers and leaders, 6 engaging sessions, 6 hours of engrossing conversations, top trending healthcare issues. The Healthcare Summit 2024, an initiative by the TV9 Network and South First. Streaming on 3rd of August, only on News 9.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
From July 26th to August 11th, the world's eyes will be on Paris. The City of Lights is hosting the biggest stars of the global sporting firmament at the Olympics.
I do expect us to do better than 7 medals.
I'm very excited because this would be my first Olympics, and let's see how it goes.
Ever since Rio 2016, it's been India's endeavour to cross double digits.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
This was the kind of terrain that mountaineers basically climb on. You're talking of peaks of 15,000 and 16,000 feet. You have trouble breathing, the cold, the high altitude, the dizziness, the enemy staring at your face. And in some of those cases, the Pakistanis were not even expending ammunition. They were throwing rocks at the Indian soldiers. That's how close it was.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
from Payal Nath, the CEO and director of Kadam Heart. We are working with people, we are working with emotions, we are working with hands, we are working with nature.
We are very clear, we want to commit to livelihoods, we want to commit to the planet, we want to impact 1 million artisans, which is 1 million families minimum.
Be the change that you want to see.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए, और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है मनी9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
Cooking is an act of love. The first act of love we receive from our mothers in the families.
Modern Indian food is all about contemporary and innovative approach to traditional Indian cooking.
Representation it's also important, no?
I want to wear this white coat every day and then be a chef.
There are stories. If the name of whiskey is Indri, then there is a whole story behind that.
Cooking food is like a therapy, and eating one is like a pleasure I can give it to myself. With Lounge Nights, I'm on a journey to celebrate and recognize the best food and nightlife establishments in various cities across India.
Radical presents Lounge Nights every Saturday and Sunday only on News 9 Live.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Game On. I'm Neha Bhardwaj-Alter and this is where you get the latest from the Paris Olympics 2024. And Manu Bhaker is unstoppable at these Olympics. She's now reached a third final in as many events, making this the greatest performance by an Indian athlete in a single edition of the Summer Games. Yes, there is good news from the Châteauroux shooting range, where India have won all their 3 medals so far. Manu Bhaker has qualified for women's 25-meter air pistol finals. She finished second in the qualification and made it to the title round of her third successive event. The Haryana girl has already created history by becoming the first Indian to win 2 medals at a single Olympics, as she added 10-meter air pistol mixed team bronze in the company of Sarabjot Singh to India's first medal at the ongoing Paris Games, also a bronze in women's 10-meter air pistol event. Tomorrow, she will be gunning for a hat-trick of medals, going for the third in her favourite 25-meter air pistol finals. Manu, aiming for a hat-trick of Olympic medals here, came up with a superb performance in the qualification round. She shot an amazing 294 in the precision round and was even more menacing in the rapid round to score 296 for an aggregate of 590. She's just 2 points behind leader Veronica Major of Hungary, who shot an aggregate of 592, equaling the Olympic record. India has won all 3 medals so far in shooting, with Manu bagging 2 and Swapnil Kusale taking the bronze in 50-meter rifle 3 positions on Thursday. But this is a huge achievement for Manu Bhaker, and also just goes on to show the mental tenacity that this 22-year-old has. To think that she is now qualified for 3 finals, out of which in 2 she's won medals, and yet she's not done. She's not said, you know what, I'm tired now, I'm not going to really give it my best in this one, I'm done. No, she has decided that she's going to fight it out till the very end and possibly get another medal. And the good thing about this is that she's actually very good at this event. So 1 o'clock tomorrow is when she will be competing in the finals, and we'll be here in the studios live getting you all the results. Now, from Manu Bhaker to PV Sindhu. PV Sindhu's hopes of winning a 3rd Olympic medal were shattered as the Indian flag bearer at the Paris Olympic Games made a shock exit. That's right. Sindhu was demolished in straight games by China's world number 9, He Bingjiao, in the women's singles pre-quarterfinals late last night. The 29-year-old from Hyderabad was outpaced 21-19, 21-14 by Bingjiao in 56 minutes. It was a rematch of the Tokyo Olympic bronze medal playoff. Sindhu, who won the silver and bronze medal at the Rio de Janeiro and the Tokyo editions respectively, had topped the group to qualify for the knockout stage in Paris. Bingjiao produced an attacking masterclass and did not allow Sindhu to play her best game. The Chinese girl was always dictating the rallies, keeping the mid-court shuttles down. She was faster and fitter and also had the left-handers advantage. Sindhu has rarely fared well against left-handers, and in fact the Indian wasn't allowed to play at a high pace to counter the attack, and after an intense opening game she faded into oblivion as Bingjiao exacted revenge for the Tokyo defeat. In the opening game, He Bingjiao was 5-1 up as Sindhu committed some defensive errors and faltered in execution. The Chinese used flat pushes and tried to keep her back. Sindhu erred as her deep returns went wide and long. Soon it was 8-3 in the favor of the Chinese. Sindhu's short lifts were punished by Bingjiao, who produced some sensational shots from the forehand corner. Sindhu then made it 17-18 before Bingjiao unleashed a body smash. It was then Sindhu's turn to produce a smash, and it was 19-all. He Bingjiao produced a precise on-the-line return to grab 1 game point. He Bingjiao then sealed a long rally with a forehand jump smash to let out a roar. After the change of sides, it was a Chinese girl. She continued to mount her attack, while Sindhu's length was a bit off as the Chinese quickly moved to a 6-2 lead. He Bingjiao showed better anticipation and was also alert at the net as she grabbed 2 more points. Sindhu reeled off 3 points, but He Bingjiao kept the pressure on Sindhu with 2 more jump smashes to take an 11-5 advantage in the interval after the Indian found the net. Sindhu continued to struggle with her execution as Bingjiao dominated the rallies with her aggressive display to quickly move to 14-8. A forehand cross-court and a flat drive from Sindhu kept her hopes alive, but it proved too late as Bingjiao moved to 18-11 after the Indian went wide again. The Chinese grabbed 7 match points and converted in the second opportunity after Sindhu went long again. Sindhu confessed she was not able to control the game. And this is what she said, and I quote, "I should have controlled in terms of a little bit of mistakes on my defense is what I felt. Everybody worked hard. So we've done whatever we could. Best is destiny. I don't regret it. It's still 4 years away. So for me right now, I just go back, rest for a bit, maybe just take some break and then come back. Let's see what it is, because 4 years is a very, very long time. So let's see. It's sad. The result, I couldn't get what I expected, but it's a journey, isn't it? It's been a wonderful journey so far. There were ups and downs, and I came back from an injury and everything was going on well. You can't expect easy wins or picking the form at the right time. Sometimes it might not be your day." So PV Sindhu is taking a short break and then getting back to playing the sport that she loves the most. Now, hunting their second straight Olympics medal, India have moved into the Paris Games men's hockey quarterfinals as the number 2 team from Group B. In their last pool match, India beat Australia 3-2. and they play England in the quarterfinals. Will be a rematch of the Tokyo Olympic Games where India have won the bronze medal. India had already qualified for the quarterfinals from Group B along with Belgium, to whom they'd lost 1-2 yesterday. In their earlier matches, India defeated New Zealand 3-2 before drawing 1-1 against Argentina and defeating Ireland 2-0. Skipper Harmanpreet Singh struck a brace en route his 6th goal of the tournament, while Abhishek gave India the lead in the 12th minute. Australia's goals were scored by Tom Craig in the 25th minute and Blake Covers in the 55th. Veteran India goalkeeper P.R. Shajesh, playing his last international tournament, was spectacular under the bar, making numerous saves to keep his side's lead intact. For record, it is India's first win over Australia at the Olympics since the 1972 edition in Munich. So huge victory for India. Yes, it was a group game, but beating Australia is always tough, especially on a stage like the Olympics. I mean, there's a reason why India have never been able to beat Australia since 1972, but to do it on this grand stage is a huge moment for them and a big boost to their confidence. As the Indian men's hockey team is chasing their second successive Olympic medal, social media content creator and music producer Yashraj Mukhate extends his support tune. Now, Carlos Alcaraz wanted an Indian Olympic pin, and Rafael Nadal walked up to Indian tennis player Sriram Balaji to shake hands with him. These interesting anecdotes were shared by Sriram Balaji and their coach Balachandran Manikat with our colleague Viran Shah. Listen in.
Talking about Rafa is one of the legends of the sport. So, we all respect what he has done for the sport and what he has achieved in the past, you know. And yeah, it's natural for other sports athletes also to, you know, click pictures with Rafa, because he's not only a tennis star, he's like a superstar of all the sports, you know. And yeah, I mean, we see them often in the slams. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, I mean, like you said, I've seen him many times, like standing next to me, but we haven't spoken. So yesterday there was an opportunity where only he, me, and Rohan were around. So Rohan introduced me to him, and then I took a picture because I wanted a picture with him after getting introduced.
So this is your in your 40 years of experience, this is your first time you spoke to Rafa?
Yeah. First time I spoke, I mean, very briefly. So Rohan introduced me as somebody who was working with him and worked for more than 34 years in the coaching field. And then I just told him, like, you know, what a great role model he is. And adding to that, this morning when we were waiting for the transport, the bus to go from the village, It was drizzling. I mean, there was the shade was very small area where already people were standing. So Rohan and me were standing outside. Nadal, Alcaraz, Granollers, and Busta, the Spanish team, comes and they join us. And with 6 of us are standing in one group in a drizzle, waiting for the bus. And Nadal was talking to them and talking to Rohan, and every minute there was somebody requesting for a photograph. He walked up to him and shook hands with Sriram in the gym.
Yeah, I was lifting in the gym, and he was warming up. It's always like hi and a bye. We never have a normal conversation. But I was a little hesitant to go say hi because he was warming up before his practice, but he came up to me and he shook hands, and then it was for the level. What he has played, what he's achieved, he's still so down to earth is amazing.
And Alcaraz, 3 days ago in the locker room, there was nobody, and I went to him and requested a picture. He wanted a Olympic Indian pin. So I gave him a pin, and yesterday when we were coming back, Rohan, when we were coming back in the bus was Zverev, Pegula, Goff. And I was telling Rohan, each of them can have a private jet, and they're traveling in a bus together. It doesn't even have AC, and it's all closed. Windows are closed. It's so warm. I said each of them can own a private jet.
Yeah. That's the other experience that most athletes share when they are in the Olympic Village or they're taking the buses when they meet the goats of the games, whether it's Simone Biles, whether it's Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic. Talking about goats and Simone Biles, this was an incredible night last night for Simone Biles. She clinched her 6th Olympic gold medal in front of an ecstatic crowd at the Paris Games all-round gymnastics final. Reasserting her status as the #1 all-round gymnast 3 years after she had withdrawn from the same final at the Tokyo Games. In a tight race between Biles and Brazil's Rebeca Andrade, the American was surprisingly left trailing in 3rd place after a flawed performance on the uneven bars, but she was back on top after a solid performance on her next apparatus, the balance beam. As Biles waited to perform last on the floor, she knew the gold would be hers if she avoided any unexpected slip-ups. She executed an electrifying routine to secure the gold with a total of 59.131 points, just 1.199 points ahead of her Brazilian rival. Andrade earned a second successive silver in the competition, where each gymnast needs to show off their skills on all 4 women's apparatus. Biles' teammate Sunisa Lee, the Tokyo all-round champion, fought back from a disappointing start on the vault to claim the bronze with 56.465 points. Biles captured her 2nd gold medal of the Paris Games and her 2nd all-round Olympic title after also winning the individual event in Rio in 2016. She also claimed the team gold earlier this week. Biles is the most decorated gymnast of all time. She had withdrawn from the event in Tokyo to prioritize her mental health after suffering from the twisties, a condition involving the temporary loss of spatial awareness that some gymnasts can experience when executing high difficulty elements. Her withdrawal had caused a concern among her vast fan base about whether she would ever set foot on the Olympic stage again. But here we are with Simone Biles fighting those demons, fighting her challenges, and coming back strongly to wow the world all over again. Now, her record 6th gold medal in Olympics, coming in front of a delirious crowd at Bercy Arena, left her fans gushing. Among the fans, Zinedine Zidane, Steph Curry, Tony Hawk and Nadia Comaneci, 4 of the finest athletes of the past 100 years. They were there to watch this wonderful gymnast in action. So from superstar athletes to common fans, everyone was left amazed by her brilliance.
She is my influencer. I know that I'm going to be like her one day. I know it.
She's
amazing. She's so inspirational. We love her with all of our hearts. She inspires all of us in the USA. I love her. This is why I came to the Olympics, to see Simone Biles. And I got to see her.
USA! Probably one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I literally loved it, and like I feel like you'll never see something like that again, especially Simone and Suni both winning all around at the same time was probably like one of the most like amazing and like one of a kind experiences of my life.
Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo recognized Ukrainian Olympic athletes' bravery and perseverance by awarding rower Anastasia Kozenkova and diver Oleksiy Serena with the Grand Vermeil Medal, the highest distinction given by the city.
I bestow upon you, in front of your peers, in the name of all Ukrainian athletes, the Medal of the City of Paris, the Grand Vermeil of the City of Paris, the highest distinction in the city. The city of liberty, of human rights, a city committed to stand beside you, could award you with pride. With much love, I award you this medal, Anastasia.
Avec fierté, avec beaucoup d'amour, je vais vous remettre cette médaille. Chère Anastasia, la médaille.
The Grand Vermeil Medal of the City of Paris for you, our Ukrainian hero athletes who are participating in the Olympic Games in Paris and who are making history. Thank you.
L'histoire, qui écrivait l'histoire. Merci à vous.
When there is a war, I know that there are many athletes who do not compete. And how many athletes have died? And the fact that we are competing here now, trying to fight for everyone amidst what is happening now in the country, what kind of emotions do we feel? Honestly, I think we are already winners.
Ми вже переможці, я так вважаю, чесно.
What can be bigger for an Olympic athlete than being on the podium? British diver Tom Daley, who clinched the silver medal in the men's synchronized 10-meter platform at the Paris Olympics, shared the inspiration behind his return to the Olympics and his views on the Chinese diving team.
I haven't actually seen it, but I know the Last Supper has been depicted in so many different ways over the years. And when you look at a drag queen and then you look at a priest on a Sunday, sometimes they look like they're dressed up as well. So I don't know, everyone has like a different. I haven't actually seen it, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. But at the same time, I think everything about the Olympic opening ceremony to me, from the clips that I've seen, spread joy and spread excitement and spread creativity and coming together and peace. And I think that's what the Olympics is about. People of all different shapes, sizes, genders, ethnicities, all coming together to be able to compete under the common goal of trying to be the best human being that they possibly can be. And I think that's what should be celebrated here. I think, sport generally is quite heteronormative, and it does look like male sports people should be this masculine, like macho figure to be as strong as possible. And I just also think that it's a lot of pressure sometimes to come out as an athlete, because there's already then that expectation of being an activist and speaking out. And some people just want to live their lives. And I think until we can get to a point where people can just come out and just carry on with their sport as normal and not have the expectation and the pressure to be really vocal, I think that's when we might see more people feeling comfortable to come. And it was so special to have the kids there before the competition in warm-up. I saw them in the audience, and I really just, that was when I felt that like emotion. I was like, no matter what happens in this competition, this is why I came back. This is my gold medal. So I was just so happy with that. Yeah, I've gone from being the youngest on the team in 2008 to now the oldest on the team at 30 years old. And I do think that I have a different perspective on what it means to be an Olympian now. I know that I am more than just a diver. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a friend, I'm a knitter, I'm an activist. There are so many things that I find important in my life that diving becomes one of them and not the only thing. And I think that has allowed me to really be able to enjoy this past year to get to this silver medal.
Well, that's it in this edition of The Game On. Hope you enjoyed it. For now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Once again, Xi's spy vessel Xiangyang Hong 3 is in India's backyard. According to geointelligence expert Damian Simon, the so-called research vessel is currently moving into the Bay of Bengal. Is a Chinese vessel spying on India's military exercise again? Well, News 9 Plus decodes. An image posted by Damian on social media platform X indicates that it is just 120 nautical miles from a scheduled Indian naval subsurface firing exercise in the region. Now, what is India's naval subsurface firing exercise? India's planned test is of an undersea submarine launched missile. This could be a tactical weapon that is fired from a conventional submarine, or it could be a strategic missile like the K-15 or the K-4 launched from a strategic platform like the Arihant class nuclear-powered, nuclear-armed ballistic missile submarine. Now, is China's vessel here to monitor this exercise? Well, one never knows what kind of equipment these spy vessels have, according to experts. But the presence of the vessel at a time when the Indian Navy conducts subsurface firing gives them a good reason to be in the vicinity. The vessel can monitor our signal intelligence and communication intelligence. The ship is equipped to track a missile launch, study its trajectory, and other vital parameters. These data inputs help them in designing their own system and also in countering the system. Now, if the planned test is of a strategic missile, then the presence of Chinese spy ships is shocking. Strategic missiles are weapons of the last resort. If China were to monitor them, it could have the ability to detect and track our strategic submarines when they are near the surface. Since when have Chinese spy vessels been visiting India's backyard? Well, these vessels have been frequenting the Indian Ocean region in our backyard, close to India's exclusive economic zone. In one of the rare cases, in March 2024, 4 Chinese vessels were seen in India's backyard, the Indian Ocean region, simultaneously. These included the Yuanwang 03, a Chinese satellite and missile tracking vessel, the Xiangyang Hong 1 and the Xiangyang Hong 3. These are Chinese oceanographic survey and research ships, and the Da Yang Hao, which is the Chinese Marine Resource Service ship. The presence of 2 of the vessels coincided with successful test firing of India's Agni 5 intercontinental ballistic missile with multiple warheads. Experts believe that the vessels were spying on Indian tests. How frequently do Xi's spy vessels visit the area? Well, the alarming frequency is also a cause of concern. In 2023, Xi Yan 6 docked in Colombo port on the 25th of October after roaming freely in the Indian Ocean waters since the 19th of September. Instead of going straight to its announced destination, it sailed east-west and north-south, taking 36 days to reach Colombo from Malacca Strait. Before that, in April 2023, China's missile and satellite tracking vessel Yuanwang 7 was also spotted in the Indian Ocean region. This was when India conducted missile tests off the coast of Odisha and issued notifications for a no-fly zone in the area. Chinese spy ships Yuanwang 6 and 7 were also spotted in the region ahead of India's PSLV satellite launch in July 2023. So, is monitoring India's missile and satellite launches their sole mission? The second aspect is gathering hydrological and hydrographic data, and that data affects the operation of submarines, seabed mapping, and can reveal areas where submarines can be located with little chance of detection. Also, China is mapping the Indian Ocean region's seabed for polymetallic nodules which contain rare earths like nickel, cadmium, cobalt, etc., which are used in high-end electronics. Now, China is the major leader in the EV initiative. To explore the ocean bed for these rare earths and metals, massive amounts of data and very high level of underwater domain awareness is required. That is what China is doing. And is China's presence in the Indian Ocean region a threat? The presence of Chinese spy ships near some of India's most sensitive nuclear submarine installations is of course, particular concern. The installations are Shipbuilding Center, SBC, where the nuclear submarines are built, Rambili, further down the coast, where the secret submarine base INS Varsha is under construction, and the Bay of Bengal, where India's nuclear subs will hide to fire their strategic missiles. The question is, Would China permit Indian spy ships to operate in the vicinity of the Yulin naval base in the South China Sea?
Over 20 healthcare trailblazers and leaders, 6 engaging sessions, 6 hours of engrossing conversations, top trending healthcare issues. The Healthcare Summit 2024, an initiative by the TV9 Network and South First. Streaming on 3rd of August, only on News 9.
20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this. Why is the state not looking at putting an embargo on that?
As a Telangana person, I will not accept.
How do ordinary folks deal with this?
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
Welcome to News 9 Live, and you are watching On Point with me. So before I introduce you to the first On Point, let me take you through today's headlines. Death toll rises to 316 in Wayanad. Rescuers braving rains and challenging terrain search for the 300 still missing. Army rescues 2 men and 2 women from the worst hit zone. Rescue operations are underway also in the hills in North India. 45 people are missing following flash floods. In 3 districts of Himachal Pradesh, Indian Air Force choppers have been deployed to evacuate pilgrims stranded en route to Kedarnath. ED is coming after me next, claims the leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi. He cites insiders in agency. Rahul says he will welcome the officials with open arms. Festa rocks Bangladesh. Thousands of angry anti-government protesters take to streets of Dhaka a day after the ban on Jamaat-e-Islami. No systemic breach of sanctity of the NEET-UG 2024 exams, says the Supreme Court, as it explains why it did not order a re-NEET. The court asks the National Testing Agency to stop its flip-flop on exams. The Delhi High Court transfers probe into the drowning of 3 civil service aspirants in Delhi's Rajendra Nagar to the CBI. Orders removal of encroachments and unauthorized construction in the area. Manu Bhaker stays in the hunt for a hat-trick of Olympic medals. She qualifies for the final of the 25-meter sports pistol event. Geopolitical speaks over the death of 14 inmates of a shelter home for the mentally challenged in Delhi. BJP stages protest, blaming the AAP government. A magisterial probe is ordered. And tens of thousands joined the funeral ceremonies for the Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh in Qatar. Tensions mount as calls for revenge echo across West Asia. A significant breakthrough was achieved in Manipur as the Meiteis and the Hamar group of the Kuki Zo sealed a peace pact for the Jiribam district. Under the agreement, both groups are committed to restoring normalcy in the district and preventing incidents of arson and shooting. Facilitated by the state government, this agreement between the leaders of the Meitei and Hamar community in Assam aims to end hostilities and establish peace in Jiribam. 3 key resolutions were reached during the meeting. The first was for both sides to make full efforts to bring normalcy and prevent incidents of firing and arson. The second was to cooperate with security forces operating in district. The third was for controlled and coordinated movement. The reconciliation meeting took place on Thursday morning at the CRPF Group Center in Dayapur near Silchar in Assam, Kachas district. Moderated by Jiribam district administration, the two sides agreed to meet again after 15th of August. Representatives from the Meitei and Hamar communities of the Jiribam district, along with representatives from other tribal communities such as Paite, Thadu and Mizo, attended the meeting. Although the pact is currently limited to one district, government sources hailed it as a major achievement, expressing hope that it could serve as a roadmap for peace negotiations throughout the state. A Meitei group leader emphasized the importance of control movement due to the current tensions, making parts of the district inaccessible. A Hamar leader described these resolutions as initial steps, with further discussions planned to secure more rights for their community. An official acknowledged the beginning of progress despite challenges and appreciated the residents of Jiribam for participating in the meeting. In an interview with me, Manipur Chief Minister Biren Singh had highlighted that the government is engaging in talks with various Kuki subgroups to establish peace. Can there be any basis to start a conversation with the Kuki community now? Because there is a lot of suspicion amongst Meiteis and Kukis in Valley today. So, are you working on some timeline, or is there some beginning which is happening?
Kartik, I might be the most disappointed Chief Minister in India, because you know what Manipur were before. Before I came as a CM under the Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, 2017, in Manipur there was fake encounters, thousands of people were killed, burned, blocked. Even the peoples could not travel. Just after 5 p.m., everything were closed, highway blockade, burned. Even the petrol were costing 200 per liter. Just people have to make queue. No, then you see after 17, with the guidance of the Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji and the Amit Shah ji, how Manipur growed. Just in the, I recently joined this NEET-UG meeting. In the NEET-UG, Manipur became first, second, third, that kind of development we're achieving. And even Miss India, Miss Femina were held in Manipur, Tri-Nation, the International Football Tournament held, G20 were held. So many infrastructures were developed. I'm very upset. That is why my priority is now top priority. Then how I initiated and how these issues comes, that was the separate story. Then the present, my priority is to restore normalcy as before in the state of Manipur.
So making it very clear that his priority is peace, I am joined by Suhas Chakma, Director Rights and Risk Analysis Group, Dr. Thangolal Haukip, Assistant Professor, Center for the Study of Law and Governance, and Rami Niranjan Desai, Author, Scholar, Northeast Region. Thank you so much. So Jiribam success, Rami, first to you quickly, then I'll go to Mr. Haukip and Suhas Chakma with Amar. I think, isn't it a good step?
Karthikeya, good evening. As you know, I've been traveling and I come back and there is so much happening. Delhi's been flooded, Wayanad has happened, so on and so forth. I can just say that this is the best news that I have heard in a really long time, not just in the last 1 week, but in the last 1 year when you have been covering this issue week on end, And I think this is what we were saying right at the beginning, that dialogue is so important, and dialogue is not going to come from an artificial creation of any sort of peace group, but common people on ground who are affected by violence and the onus lies on their shoulders to be able to communicate, And I think they have really taken the first most important step, which is going to be which is going to give the impetus to all other groups across Manipur to be able to take the same step. Now, I have to also compliment you and the Chief Minister on, the interview was a great interview. It was straight speak. And I think he said something very important, is that the government has been working, that there has been dialogue that they've been trying to achieve. And I think that is very important to get across to communities, all communities in Manipur, so that there isn't any lack of trust towards the government, because eventually, the onus of responsibility lies on them as well. But if I was to say anything further with a little caution, I'd say this, that Jiribam is a very special place, of course, and, this situation has made it even more special. But there are other bigger cities like Churchandpur, wherein, there are bigger communities, and there's always this fringe element that will say, oh, well, we need our demands to be fulfilled before a dialogue. I'm expecting this to happen, And I think that has to be completely shut down and sidelined at the word go, because demands can come later.
Okay.
Once peace is achieved, anything can be spoken about and anything can be debated, but peace has to be achieved. So I think peace before any sort of demand.